Well, of course. Why shouldn't the theme start halfway through? I mean, it's the Bob Doyle Show podcast, and it's live. Ladies and gentlemen, I think there's a way I could play sound effects. How about this? Wow. They're really loud in my ear. But as I look at the level indicator, it really doesn't look that loud. I look loud, like almost like I should turn down my volume just a little bit. But I am plagued by not loud enough sometimes. And, well, nobody likes to be plagued in this day and age for any reason. Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, hello, it's Bob Doyle, the guy who does the Bob Doyle Show, and it's an audio podcast. And I just have to say that, you know, the audio podcasts, the descriptions, the titles, I know they're lame. You know why they're lame? I'll explain. Because this is one of those things that I think is probably keeping you up at night. Certainly is me. And, you know, you and I, we need our sleep. So let's just get this handled. Let's just talk about it. You know, we're adults. I think we're adults. I am, technically, if you look at age and whatnot. There are people who would, you know. But, I mean, I'm sure that if you listen to this show, you are adult-ish as well. I don't know that, you know. I was just thinking about this the other day. Am I really an adult? I mean, I'm 51. But am I really an adult, or do I just, you know, is it kind of like Big? Am I like Tom Hanks, living in this 51-year-old body, doing the best I can, but I haven't really figured out the grown-up part. I think that's what's happened. I think all these adult children, we got the big complex. And somewhere along the line we said, this is about as mature as I want to get. The rest of it looks kind of boring, or stressful, or too much responsibility, or, you know. So I'm gonna stop right here. But I can tell you that I'm on the move, by the way, if you're hearing strange sounds. That can present problems. I'm just moving closer to my coffee cup. And yes, I am, for those of you listening live, which is exactly nobody. For that matter, I truly don't know if anybody ever listens to these recordings. This audio podcast, even though it will now be more predominantly featured in the Bob Doyle Show app, I'm hoping that will get things rolling for the podcast. When the app gets out there, and, you know, I'm going to rely on you hardcore listeners to download that app. You know. I don't really have a great reason for you to share it, obviously. You need to share it with people who would enjoy the show. But, you know, incentive to share. I mean, I'm not living in a freaking fantasy world. You're not going to download my Bob Doyle Show app and go, oh my God, Gertrude, because we all have friends named Gertrude. Gertrude, are you listening? Gertrude, you've got to download this Bob Doyle Show app. And, you know, Gertrude's watching her stories or whatever. I don't like Bob Doyle. And then, you know, you're like, not Bob Doyle the butcher. Because they have they got a butcher in their neighborhood named Bob Doyle. So, but it's not me, obviously. I do very little butchering. Hardly any. I would say none, really. So Gertrude's confused. So you're trying to get Gertrude back on track, and you're trying to say, like, no, from The Secret. I like The Secret. Yeah, right. And so you know that. She just forgets that Bob Doyle, that's me, was in it sometimes. So you just have to remind her, Gertrude, you know what? It's not even her age. Gertrude's just always been kind of out there. I'm right here. You don't have to talk about me like I'm not here. Hey, this is just getting weird now. I'm down to the last few swallows of this coffee, which, bad idea. It's basically 5 o'clock p.m. Way past my, like, the 3 o'clock hour is generally when I say, okay, that's my last caffeinated coffee. But alas, I think this is actually a decaf blend, now that I think about it. So you can write that down in your notebooks, because that's what, you all have your notebooks, right? The Bob Doyle Show notebook. We need that, the official Bob Doyle Show notebook. Hey, so listen, if you dare. You hear the sea lions? You do. They're very noisy today. Isn't that great? It's like, if you live in a neighborhood where you've got a barking dog, that's annoying somehow. That dog, even if you love dogs. Somehow, to me, the sea lions, not annoying, never gets old. Now, when I'm doing voice work, sometimes it can be inconvenient. But for the most part, I'm a fan. But they have derailed me. I've forgotten what I was talking about now. But anyway, so here's an update, an app date, if you will. So as of this morning, and I posted this on the Bob Doyle Show Facebook page today. As of this morning, I've got the Bob Doyle Show app in the Google Play Store and the Amazon App Store. It is submitted, waiting for review in the iOS store. But if you go to bobdoyleshow.com, right up at the top it says something like, now available or free app, and with links to where it is. I noticed that someone here has left the chat, which of course is Dawn, who is saying, hey, Dan, Dawn, we're hanging out here on Spreaker. Pretty fun, huh? I was just talking about the Bob Doyle Show app, which is released to the Play Store and the Amazon Store, and not quite yet to iOS. And that's the one I've got my fingers crossed, because quite frankly, I've got a lot thrown in there. I'm pushing the content. You know what I'm saying? It's like so much stuff. There's a lot. The more you throw in there, the more they could say no to. But the other guys have said yes with no problem, so I'm guessing we're good to go. And then I'm just very excited about getting it out there. And of course, those of you listening to this, this is such a subset of the group. And here's the rest of the group right now. We have a whole sea lion section. I want you to know that when they come into the auditorium, which of course I'm doing this from an auditorium, they have their own special section with, water and fish and stuff. So just know that they're taken care of. We're not cramming them in the theater seats with everybody else. But yeah, we've had some people ask, and this is a very animal friendly show. So, well, yes, I thank you, Dawn. Dawn has commented, for those of you who aren't reading this, which is 100% of you, that she's happy for me and the app. And I also am happy for the app. And I'm happy about doing apps for other people. But for now, just getting the Bob Doyle Show app out there and learning to use it to communicate with people without getting on their nerves will be a fun challenge. And then, of course, here, the big thing that Lynn and I are talking about is what are some fun, creative ways to get people to share the app, share the show, grow the audience, use the app as an audience builder. That's, and the great thing about this is that I can tell you, the listener, that that's the strategy, because we're all in this together, right? We're all fighting the same cause. It's, the Bob Doyle Show cause. It's what you fill your afternoons and evenings with. Once you've worked your long day and you've taken care of your kids and whatever else you freaking have to do. Now, the rest of it obviously is devoted to this show and its evolution and, of course, propagation out into the world. And I appreciate that. I do. And it's as it should be, because we've got a mission. And that's just to get people to freaking chill out sometimes. You know what I'm saying? That's what this show is. It's just like, stop freaking taking everything so seriously. There are puppies and ukuleles on this planet and other things that are also kind of fun. So if you could just take an hour or so a week to get goofy and just, let your brain do absurd things for a while, it would probably help you in your everyday life. The brain needs exercise. It needs to be stretched here and there, hither and yon. to make room for new ideas. So you got to come into the Bob Doyle Show every now and then for a good brain stretching. That's what this. That's another thing this show is. It's just a brain stretch. And you might be saying, Bob, that's definitely a stretch. To which I say, touché, sir, or madame, whichever you may be. So today I was flying around the Hollywood Hills over the homes of, I don't know, however many celebrities and other people with a lot of disposable income. And I was landing in their yards and looking out at the views of Hollywood. And I was thinking to myself, wow, I wish I could share this experience with everybody. And then I thought, well, Bob, you could just hit record and record your experience. And right now you're saying, well, no, you're not. You know what I'm talking about. Of course I'm talking about Google Earth. But the people beside you, they didn't know what I was talking about. And they're going, what is he talking about? Well, it's Google Earth. So today I was in Google Earth and I'm flying around Hollywood because I'm just flying over the hills of Hollywood and I'm looking down. I'm going, holy crap, I had no idea there were this many people living in these mountains, in these hills. I mean, these houses are just crammed together, and some of them are huge, and some of them have these amazing views, and it is really fun and surreal to just say, oh, that one looks interesting, and just to fly down in virtual reality into their yard, so you're standing on their patio looking out at their view. Very nice to be able to just virtually borrow a person's view without even having to, pay a dime in rent. But so just flying around and looking at all these different houses, and some of them have no view, and they're just crammed in so tight, and they're so far up in the hills. I'm going, what is it? Why? What is the allure? Why would you want to be so crammed in here, away from everything, with no view, just so you could say Hollywood? I don't know. And some of these designs, some of these houses are clearly, I don't know, from the Hollywood era, from the big, the glitzy glam of the 30s and the 40s or whatever. But it's just, and of course I'm making the supposition that, they're all movie stars up there. There's other ways to be successful too, just for the record. But I'm looking up there and I'm going, this is cool to visit and fly into their yards and look, but I don't know that I'd want to live up here. Even if that's just, the views, some of the views are spectacular. But I don't know, it just has and by the way, you can feel in virtual reality, you can feel the vibe. I got the same vibe when I fly to Malibu. And in Malibu, they have these beautiful homes, on the cliffs. And you can just fly into their backyard too and borrow their view, and you get this vibe of what it's like. And that's from a law of attraction point of view, one of my favorite things about VR is that the things that go on in your brain and in your body as you're trying to make sense of this input, which is, I am at this other place, most definitely is changing your vibration. And I can really feel it viscerally as I use Google Earth to fly around different areas of the world where I get a very different vibe from the various places I go. Some of them are like, I would never come here. And a lot of times I go up on these mountains where people actually do climb, like Everest or something, and I get up there and I look around and go, we're clearly not supposed to be up here. What are we doing? Why is this a thing we need to do? Why do we need to get to the top of this thing? If that was supposed, there'd be an escalator or something. There would be, but there's not. But whatever. Just because my life's purpose is not to climb that thing this time around, doesn't mean that somebody else's isn't that. We're all here to do different things. It's not for me to judge you and your crazy ass thing you do. Just like it's not up to you to judge me, so I'll thank you to stop it. I still think that if we could just get it cleared to people that this audio podcast that you're listening to right now, this very one and others like it, is the perfect on-the-road companion for your commute or your long drives. If people could just understand that it's like just having a buddy in your car. Low maintenance. They're just going to talk about some stuff. Keep you company for a while. That's really what we're doing, right? I'm just, like right now, if Dawn's still out there, I'm just keeping her company. God knows she could be cooking something or, Dawn. Who knows what she's doing? Am I right? This is just whatevs. Woo! I mean, wow. Wow, it could be, I can't even. I won't even. Right, Cody? I'm sitting next to Cody the dog, who, by the way, is poofed out right now because I gave him a shower today because he was itching. I'm actually taking him to the vet tomorrow to get the itching looked at. But I had to take him in the shower, and I won't blow dry him because he hates that. So, and he's got this hair that just sort of frizzes out when he looks all wiry and crazy for a long time, and now he's just all poofed out. So, cute though. You're cute. Don't worry. I think he thinks I was, you know what I'm saying? I have to reassure him. Like the chill time, right? The Bob Doyle show is just a chill time. Just come in and chill. Although I gotta say, I was watching the show from Friday when I was talking about apps and doing apps for people, etc., and talking about my own. And you could tell that was easily my fourth cup of coffee, easily. I mean, I was amped up, and I'm rocking back and forth, and I'm just like going, wow, that's on the edge of uncomfortable to watch. And then Lynn was saying, I don't smile enough. And I'm like, I smile. Sometimes I have my intense looks or I have that face. It's just the Bob Doyle face, but I always try and counter it with a sly little grin or a something. I try to balance the energy. And some days, maybe I've got a more serious face. The Bob Doyle show on Friday I was kind of really talking about mobile apps. It wasn't quite so silly, although I'd like to think there were moments of, oh, that Bob. He'll say the darndest things in there for everyone. But history will be the judge. Will it? Yes, it will. History will be the judge. I'm still going with this idea that all of these episodes, all of this content I'm throwing out into space will eventually be gathered up by someone going, oh, we found the early stuff. Here it is. We finally found it. Well, thank you, Dawn. I love Lynn too, and I appreciate that I make you smile. I will make sure to tell her that is that, look, for every downward motion my mouth makes at the appropriate time, it gives upward motion exponentially across the country, around the world, if I do my frown correctly. Yes, I'm still here. What I love about doing broadcasts these days is the ability to do these pregnant pauses. And yes, it is pregnant, so don't feel awkward about asking. That whole Brian Regan routine. You don't want to ask about that pregnant pause. Oh, when's that pause due? What do you mean? Ooh, it's just a fat pause. It's not pregnant. Yikes. Social faux pas. So you want to be careful about that. But I am talking about pregnant pauses. The ones where I can just stop talking for an extended amount of time. Just enough where it's uncomfortable. Whereas back in my radio days, I couldn't do that. We were just drinking coffee during that pregnant pause. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I was finishing the last sip. You're on to me, Dawn. Or maybe my cameras are on. That makes no sense. So anyway, I was talking about Google Earth because I can't talk about anything else. That and cosmic sugar. But again, in Google Earth today, I got just time went away from me. And I'm finding all these places. Like I found I went to when Lynn and I went to Hawaii a year ago, October, as part of the Association of Transformational Leaders. Thank you very much. I was a guest. And it also happened to be my birthday. I flew home. My 50th birthday happened on a plane on a red eye. That's how I brought in 50. But anyway, for a few days there in Hawaii, we stayed in Lahaina. Lahaina. There's a word you want to be very clear about what you're saying. Lahaina. And we stayed at a little, I guess this guy had condos that he rented out. And I found that place, stood in that yard and looked at that view that we had actually seen. So that, and then we also did the, I think it's called the Path to Hana or something like that, the Road to Hana. And it's all the way up, this is on Maui, and all the way around the top and down the east side of the island is this. Basically, it's a road, it's a pathway, and it kind of culminates in these 7 pools. So I flew to the 7 pools and looked around like I did there. And it's just, it's not like you're there because the resolution isn't that great, especially when you're at ground level. But if you can even get the sense of it at all, it's very cool. And some places, it really is great, especially flying around cities where the buildings have been well rendered, like San Francisco or whatever. Just incredible. I can't wait for this technology to be in more people's hands, because I know that right now it's still, it's too expensive for the average person to just go out and adopt. And especially like with the Vive, which is what I have, the HTC Vive, you got to have this whole room, and it's, there's just a lot. It's just not easy peasy yet. I think that's why most people are thinking PlayStation VR is going to be, well, already has gotten like one of the biggest market shares, because people already have a PlayStation. They've had PlayStations for years, and this additional helmet or headgear or whatever. Why am I having a hard time with that? Headset is I don't know, just a few $100s on top of it, and they don't need room scale or anything like that. So it's gonna kick in, and it's gonna get cheaper quickly. Right now, I'm ready for wireless. I was playing one yesterday called Bullet Sorrow, and there's nothing personal transformation about it at all. It's just killing people with guns. They're the bad guys, of course. They're after you for some reason that you're justified, but that's what it is. And it makes you move around a lot and dodge and duck and cover and stuff. And I yanked the power cord from the HTC Vive out during gameplay in a swift move, and that's the second time I've done that since I've had the Vive. So I'll be glad when we're wireless there, which will be next year. What's going to happen there? I have put Cody to sleep with my voice again. It happens often, early and often. I wish you could see him, but you can't. So that's the downfall of audio podcasts. Not so much seeing of things. So let me see. I'm going to see if I can tie up these loose ends here. What dialogue did I open? So the Bob Doyle Show app will hopefully be in the iOS store in the next couple of days. It would be great if it was tomorrow or something. Do a big celebration there. What else? Was there another main topic? Virtual reality? I don't know. I just wanted to turn. It was just time. Lynn is at this event. She'll be back, probably in an hour or so. So I thought, Bob, you know what? Get in a podcast. There's people in the future, 20 years from now, who are going to need this when they're digging through the archives and going, we found the first ones, like I mentioned before. We found the first ones. Here's another episode for you. He was bored again. That's not true. I'm never bored. I have not been bored since the internet started. And anybody who gets bored needs some serious readjustment because, Although I actually heard this great podcast about boredom when I was doing some researching on unschooling. And boredom's not necessarily a bad thing, but I will tell you that it's not something that hubby is laughing. That's what Dawn says. Oh, hold on. I missed a whole comment from Dawn that says something around the lines of, I remember my first PC in the mid-'80s was $15,000, and now you can get a desktop for $500. It'll go down. Oh, yes, it'll go down. How about those sea lions? They're right out on a boat. They're on the back of a boat right outside our patio. That's why they're so loud. Well, you know what makes us laugh at this even more? Imagining that when they're doing that, they're saying, what? And then when you get like 12 of them doing it, it's crazy. What? You know, Pixar them a little bit, or Disney them up a bit. You know, it makes them endearing. I don't think the boat owners like it, because I think they leave a slimy smell. Or a smelly slime. Or both. Hard to say. I don't have a boat, and I don't want one. Lynn does. Lynn wants a boat. Now can I address this with a sane group of people? Now look, I love a boat. We go sailing, right? But we go sailing on someone else's boat. That person pays for the boat, pays for the fuel, pays for the cleaning, pays for the docking, pays for the maintenance. Did I say that already? Well, if I didn't, it doesn't make it any less true. Trust me, he pays for it. We, as the guest, we bring chicken, something to drink, ginger beer in my case. If I can remember, I gotta recommend another ginger beer. But, yeah, Lynn wants a boat. You know, just a pontoon boat or something where we can just, cruise around the channel. And I'm like, yeah, you got to pay for the slip every month. You got to pay for insurance. You got to pay for the fuel. You got to do all this stuff. Now, look, I don't want to sound like I've got some kind of lack consciousness, because it's not even the financial part as much of the pain in the ass part. I have a friend who says a boat is a hole in the water into which one throws money. And that is true. And look, I had a pool when I lived in Atlanta. That was the equivalent of a boat. It was just a big round hole to pour money into. Get a kayak. Well, see, we have free kayak rentals here. We can kayak whenever we want. I mean, look, we love the idea of a pontoon boat and having people come out, and we're just going to cruise out on the channel. I mean, it paints a lovely picture. The sunset, everything working just great. In your vision, everything's working great. Everything's perfectly clean. The engine's just the right volume. The weather's just right. The temperature's just right. The people are just right. And then in reality, what's so-and-so doing here with them? They didn't tell me they were going to bring them. Why is it so cold in here? What does that smell? Is it supposed to leak like that? I thought you said you cleaned this. I did, but then we had, oh yeah, well crap. All right, well, you know what? We need to... That's reality. God, I know, I'm so cynical. If Lynn were here right now, she would not be here right now. She would have walked out on this show. But look, I got to balance things out with some reality a little bit. Why does that have to be reality? Why can't it be like the good way that we said? It can. It absolutely can. It's just no fun to explore that. It's much more fun to explore all the crap that could happen wrong. Because we're not getting a boat anyway. Because I refuse. My friends have a pontoon, but there are 4... This is from Dawn. My friends have a pontoon, but there are 4 couples that went on it and then swap off weekends. Right? Well, see, Lynn wanted to, co-buy with someone, and I'm like, no freaking way am I co-owning something anything, period, the end, let alone a boat. Paying for this slip, who gets it when? Oh my God. To me, that's just like, and how to destroy relationships. Let's co-own a boat. Well, it was making that noise, before when I took it out. It wasn't making the noise when I took it out. Oh, come on. I mean, you seriously didn't hear? Well, it didn't happen with me. Yep. It's just true. There's just no way I'm going to co-own a boat. That's just the worst possible. How to hate people. How to learn to hate the ones you love the most. All right. Oh, yes. Thank you, Don, for clarifying. See, I could explain it. I could explain the comment, but first of all, you don't see it. Second of all, I have to go back to, just watch all the show. Just keep doing your history lesson as you've listened to these. Go back to the last show, I think it was, and we were talking about Dawn and how she laughs in chat. All these, it's just all these broadcasts, they're just pieces to a puzzle, a big puzzle. And one day, it's like the Indiana Jones of podcasts is going to be finding bits and pieces here and putting together the big emblem of truth that is the Bob Doyle Show. And then when that happens, I don't know, something's going to happen. But see, we haven't gotten that far in the story yet. This is a prophecy that is being built in real time. All the pieces haven't even been put together. They are being created now. This is one of those pieces. Even one piece lost, and you do not, in fact, have the impact of the whole. This is what the archaeologists will say. Will be the topics of their discussions. Well, we feel like we understand the Bob Doyle Show, but we are still missing 3 pieces. Then you do not understand the Bob Doyle Show. Every piece is part of it, is a nuance, if you will. It could change the entire tone of the whole thing, of the history of the entire thing. If you miss one Instagram post. So clearly the work to be done is exhaustive. But the phenomenon is so huge at this time in the future that it's not a question of if the pieces will be put back together, but when. See, sometimes if you're a visionary and you don't focus it correctly, you're gonna create visions of just ridiculous stuff. And I'm just saying, use it for good. That was an example of well, you know what? No, that's the vision I've established since the very beginning of day one on the show. I said this is what I'm creating here will be the phenomenon. It's going to be like we can't even imagine it, and I'm going to be like, wow, I just was joking about that, but then look what happened. So I need to stay consistent with that story. And part of the story is going to be, like for the first year, he couldn't get more than 20 people to view the broadcast. Can you imagine? People would be like, no way, 20 people. You mean 20,000? He couldn't get down to 20,000. No, he couldn't get 20 people on a broadcast at the same time. And it'd be like, that's impossible. Millions of views every broadcast now. I know. And for like a year. Well, how did that, what happened? Did people not share it? No, they shared it. Well, this makes no sense to me. These are the conversations of this future. So again, we're doing the time travel on the Bob Doyle Show, as we do very often. But this we got a real big time travel thing happening now with this whole. When we bring archaeology into it, I don't want to say I jumped the shark, because I mean the Bob Doyle Show is a big shark jump anyway. So we've set a whole new bar for the shark jumping. Well, yes, people weren't ready. They weren't ready. That's what history will say. But somewhere between now and I don't know, maybe next year, something's going to happen. Here's something that could happen. These guys in the UK who have taken over my Boundless Living programs, Wealth Beyond Reason, all that stuff, in terms of the marketing, they're gearing up for a launch of the Wealth Beyond Reason program. which is for those of you who don't know, what? Law of Attraction program that basically put me on the Law of Attraction map that I created a long time ago. And it led me to being a part of The Secret. So they're basically relaunching this thing to not only just their list of people, and they have 4 million people that they reach. Which, by the way, if you're wondering, way larger than any reach I ever had in terms of email. Just in case you're wondering. Plus, he's also got his whole affiliate network mailing for me as well. Now, the potential here is phenomenal. And I'm not even just talking about the financially, because actually because I've given it all away, I get a fairly, I think, small percentage of it, given that it's my stuff, but at the same time, they're doing all the work. So, Dawn, are you kidding? There's no way I'm forgetting Dawn. That's the whole thing. See, you're already set. You're set for life. You're going to be you're a star. You're like a celebrity in there, along with. But you're like, of all of them, Dawn. Let's face facts. You're the number one. You come to the podcast. Not many people do that. I think Belinda's come in once. But in terms of what you've done for the show, of course you're going to be ultra famous. So, but anyway. Now I forgot what I was saying, but because it became all about Dawn all of a sudden. Oh well. Yeah, don't forget. I know I was talking about being the show being massive, but now I can't. The vision got so big that I became unconscious in it, and I was just in the flow. And now that I've taken back my brain a little bit, I have no idea where I went. It got away from me. Anyway, I've done 37 minutes. I thought last time I looked at the clock it was 23 minutes. And I thought, well, okay, I'll try and fill 7 more minutes and ended at 7, but I obviously started talking. You don't make that much of your stuff. You don't make that much of your stuff. Oh, right. I was talking about that they're launching all of this stuff. So so that's really cool and exciting. But the opportunity, though, is that Bob Doyle, this person who's talking right now, and continues to, for whatever reason, is going to get potentially a lot of new exposure and new eyes. And so this, for the Bob Doyle Show, is a huge opportunity to bring in a fresh new audience of large numbers. Because these people who do get into the Bob Doyle Show sphere or whatever will learn about the Law of Attraction Q&A broadcast because obviously that's a major fit. But once you learn about that, then you learn about it all. So it's an interesting time, and I want to be ready. Like, how do I maximize? Like, I'm trying to wrap my head around how do I maximize this future potential influx of a lot of people who are at this point curious now. They have new exposure to Bob Doyle. Who is this guy, right? So it's an opportunity to I think I don't even need to finish that sentence. I think we all have enough education to know what I mean. So, all right, I'm going to end this now. I'm going to end this now because first of all, I went. You know what? I figure I've been like 9 minutes overtime. So this is like a podcast with bonus, right? So I always like to over deliver. So we're going to call it that. And then, that's about all I can say is I went long. So I'm going to call that over-delivering. It may not be. It could have been the opposite of what I wanted.
It's the Bob Doyle Show.
All right, it's been the Bob Doyle Show podcast. I would have liked to. Normally I use the jazzy version of this on my audio podcast, but my iPad with that on there is recharging. So I had to use my phone, which doesn't have it on there. So we got the old school Bob Doyle Show theme. Have a wonderful whatever it is for you.